Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
A few weeks ago, at the University of Iowa, a boy in a wheelchair saw a man desperately struggling on crutches with his broken leg and offered to carry the man's backpack and books for him. He helped him all the way across the campus to his class, and as he was leaving, he said to the man on the crutches, "I hope you feel better soon." And he wheeled away. Just remember, everybody, somebody always has to ask for help, and someone has to care. And that person that offers the help and the care might be even a little worse off than you. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith. And God bless America. Followed by a patriot with the great big God bless America and Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning. We are back. We took off Thursday and went up to Oregon for about 4 days. And I'm back in the saddle this morning. And I'm still a little tired and sleepy-eyed, but good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with our great friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. Let's see if we have a person for our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you again, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, give us the pledge nice and loud.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels, and it was nice to have you at Lunch Bunch last week. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, buddy. Hey, it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. I'm telling you what, on Mondays, it's Mohawk Mondays. They've got all the carpet, all the colors, all the different styles of carpet for your home. Carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, whatever you need to make your house a home at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. You stop in at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley and see them today and look for the blue door. Right now, here's the weather.
It's going to be another beautiful day as we head on into the work week. Sunny skies, high of 60. Expect an overnight low of 35 for tomorrow, sunny and 56 with an overnight low of 31. Mostly cloudy and 60 for Wednesday, and we do have a 60% chance of rain showers for Thursday. Wind's going to be picking up as well. High of 51 with an overnight low of 34. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Very well done, Gina. Thank you. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, the sponsor of our weather. God bless these wonderful folks. Whatever you need to make your house a home, they've got it. Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley, 678-6945. Real quick thank you to everybody that was at Lunch Bunch last week. I just want to say how nice it was, and we had so many nice things happen. Let's see, Dorothy with her delicious candy, thank you. And, of course, Paul with all of his great cartoons, and a lot of the folks dressed up in their Halloween garb. Absolutely excellent costumes, and I felt kind of bad And I still feel bad that we had to leave so early and in such a rush. We had to get on the road and go to Pendleton, and I was really, really sorry for that. But I hope everybody will take my apology and also my sincere thanks for making Lunch Bunch really, really nice last Thursday. They are the nicest people. Hey, don't forget SafeLink Internet. First month is free with free installation, no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. And I'm telling you, we've been on their program for a long, long time. Idaho's #1 choice in wireless internet, 18 years and counting. Number to call to get on the program, 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. Oh, and by the by, don't forget our friends over to Darrow's Cleaners. Yeah, I got to remember, I'm headed over to Burley this afternoon. I've got a great big bag of Rumply Crumplies that need to be restored and looking good. Well, they will look good. They'll look brand spanking new if you stop into Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy and the whole crew. And don't forget that Thanksgiving is not that far away and Christmas around the corner. So if you've got tablecloths and other things that need to be cleaned before all the family members get there, do so now at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I don't know what is going on with our drivers on the interstate, but maybe you folks have got kind of a horror story that you'd like to share. Yesterday, Deanna and I just absolutely went, oh, it was really completely nuts what a young girl did in a car yesterday on the interstate, just this side of Mountain Home. I had pulled on to the interstate, and I'm going off the exit ramp into my lane, okay? And so a semi is moving over into the left lane to pass me. Great, everything is rosy. And as he passes me, of course, I'm in my lane, and there is a little car behind the semi. Well, the semi gets ahead of me and is just about to move back over into the lane ahead of me, turn his blinkers on and everything, and this young lady turned her wheel and cut in front of my truck, barely missing the front end of my truck, got in the lane ahead of me, and shot past the semi as he is coming into the lane, literally to run right over her, and passed him on the right side, had to move over towards the bunker area of the lane, and then shot on by. It could have involved many, many vehicles, including mine, and the semi, and the girl, and the people behind me. What are you thinking when you pass a semi on the right that is making a lane change back to the right side? I wish in all the quick activity I could have got her license number and turned her in, hopefully, to have her arrested and never drive again. Ay, ay, ay. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call and let me know what your thoughts are. Dumb drivers. Really dumb. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. And they're open 7:30 to 5:30. Wrong. Check that. 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. I don't want them working overtime. Anyway, they've got all your heating and electrical needs. And don't forget, they've got all your air filters for your furnaces to keep them running efficiently. Please stop in or call them today. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. It's Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they always provide warm winters and cool summers. Anybody else have one of those horrific driving stories that, whoa, you are so lucky to get out of that unscathed due to a very stupid driver? By the way, don't forget, too, our thanks go out again to Denny's for an excellent lunch bunch this last week. Terry over at 611 Overland, I hope she's listening this morning. We want to thank her for all the cupcakes and all the decorations for Halloween. I mean, they always go overboard to help us, and God bless all of them at 611 Overland and Burley. Denny's Restaurant, and we've got something really special coming up for Christmas at Denny's, and we're going to be telling you all about it towards the week's end, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be the first annual, and I'm going to leave it hang right there because it's for Christmas celebration. It is going to be phenomenal. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, with the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And the winner... the winner of the football-free Denny's Grand Slam breakfast this last week was Larry Hudig. Oh, my, the old man on the tractor over on the north side. He picked Canyon Ridge over Burley 21-14. Nailed it. Nailed it. And thanks to Denny's Restaurant. We appreciate all your help. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A little suggestion for Burley and the people involved in running Burley and the people on the city council and the people that are involved in these various commissions. It might be wise to sit down and look up the word in the dictionary called the truth. And you know what? It might be good to be straightforward and honest, and it won't come up and bite you in the behind. A couple of words there for Bill Parsons and the other ones. Maybe the truth is better than trying to manipulate, twist, and change things. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Hey, by the way, coming up this next Saturday, and I've got to tell you this, great big fun party at Four Paws Bed and Bath. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. It's going to be a ball. They're having a Halloween party for dogs. Caller, I'll be right there with you. Don't you go away. And they want you to take your dog dressed up in a costume for a Halloween party. They've done this for a long time, and believe me, it is fun. Four Paws Bed and Bath at 370 West, 200 South of Rupert, and it's going to have a parade of costume dogs and the owners starting at 1 o'clock, prizes and refreshments. You do not want to miss this Saturday at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zip.
Yes, sir.
I think it's time that these people in Burley and Cassia County, I think it's time they grow up or get out.
All right, but why do you say that? I mean, give me some reasons. Don't just say get out of Dodge City without a reason. What's your reasoning?
Well, they're at each other's throat all the time. Everybody's wrong about the law enforcement thing. The sheriff and everybody. I can't understand why they can't settle on something and get it taken care of and go on.
Well, one of the things that I will say to you, my dear friend, is that when you try to cover something up like a cat in a sandbox, all you're going to do is have that get uncovered and cause you more trouble than if you were straightforward at the get-go, right?
That is absolutely right. There's no substitute for honesty.
And trying to say or do something to shield or cover or hide information, I have found after 45 years in this industry, it's better to just bear all the cards face up on the table and let the chips fall where they may.
I agree with you, and I think that's the way it ought to be, and these people, I just think they just need to grow up.
Well, I can't argue with you. As a matter of fact, I just absolutely do not understand. When I've got a problem with somebody, I call them. And it's face up. It's face up times with the cards on the table. Why in the world go around in a circle and try to hide something or try to shield some information or whatever? That never does a bit of good.
That's right.
And
I agree with you 100%.
And by the way,
Good day, Zeb.
No, wait a minute. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to see your blushing bride the other day.
Yeah, she told me all about this deal.
And I said, "Where is your husband?" And she kind of got a frown on her face, and she said, "Oh, he's down there with those cows again."
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
Bob, God bless you, man. Thanks.
And you know Dorothy's my sister, so be careful what you say.
All right, I will. God bless her. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good days, everybody.
You bet. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, I don't care if it's in professional baseball with Alex Rodriguez. Remember how he lied and lied and lied about, I didn't take any steroidal material. No, not me, man. I'm clean. I didn't do anything. No. And then the same with Barry Bonds and all these other guys. Oh, no, I never touched this stuff. No. And all the other stories. You know, whether it's Bill Clinton or whatever, wouldn't it have been a heck of a lot better right up front from the get-go to say, you know what, I did, I apologize, and that was the wrong way to say and or handle something. Burley, take heed. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they can help you get back to being you. Yes, sirree. All you have to do is call for an appointment today at 678-1191. 678-1191. Nick Greenwell and all of his physical therapists. I personally am going to be calling that number today. Deanne, remind me, I've got to call over there right after I get off the air. Man, I got to get back to working out over there and have some exercise and getting that hydrotherapy pool. Oh, it's excellent. They can help you. They will help you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I'm glad you had a safe trip home.
I appreciate that, Keith. Thank you so much.
You know, the other day I wanted to know what was going on with this city election, so I went down and talked to Jay Lexington, who I have a lot of respect for him. And this to me is like a Chinese circus or something, because he said he is running against John Craner, and the other two guys are going for the 2-year seat, and neither one of them are incumbents. I thought it was, I call it free-for-all, but it's, who gets the most votes gets in.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Well, let me just say this, Keith, and I got to be really fair here. I only read a little bit when I got home last night. I mean, I delved into the newspapers as to what's going on. I tried to get my program ready for this morning. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know all that's happening in Burley or what happened at these meetings or why there was a shielding of information or trying to hide this and hide that until I read everything. But I will say this. I don't care if it's an attorney. I don't care who it is. Anytime you try to hide the truth on facts that need to be forthright and straightforward, you're going to hurt yourself and your community if you represent a portion of that community. Lying is not going to do you any good.
Yeah. But there is one question I've had for years and years, and I'm no longer in business in Burley. I don't own any property in the city limits, so I don't have a dog in the fight. But why in the world, if a person has a business in Burley, why is he not able to participate in the city government?
Yeah, I've never understood that.
As a councilman, I need just be able to vote.
Yeah, I've never understood the reasoning behind that, and I'm glad you asked that because I just made a note and I'm going to check on that and get some answers. I appreciate that, Keith. Thank you for your call this morning. And by the way, thank you to your lovely wife, Nancy, too, and for the bag of apples the other day. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, I hope they didn't make you sick.
Oh, I'm here, man. I'm here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you, Keith. I want to say thank you very much to Zach and the whole crew over at Minnecasia Sales. By the way, they've got carpet right now on sale for $13.50 per yard, normally retailing at $17.99, and they've got some vinyl for $9.99, normally retailing at $15.99. What are you waiting for? You better get a hold of them today. Call right now. Get on the phone. Zach, is that right? Yes, 878-2091. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. And they sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays. Thank you very much. You know, I got to chuckle here a little bit thinking about this. Most lawyers, and I'm not denigrating lawyers. Don't start calling me on my cell phone and, well, you can't pick on us lawyers, etc. Well, I'll pick on anybody I want to. But, you know, most lawyers do not like to be basically dressed down in front of the public. And I can imagine that there's being right now some name callings at me. That's fine. That's fine. Anybody that does what I think, in my opinion, wrong, and something that needs to be made right to the community, I don't care if they're a lawyer, I don't care if they're a ditch digger, it's going to be brought out. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is really nuts. And I'm offended by this. Al Sharpton, as I said many, many times on this program, is absolutely nothing more than a rabble-rouser, a cheerleader for the left, and a person that just absolutely thrives financially and also personally on creating waves and mischief. And of all things, he is going to speak at a New York City police officer's funeral today, after all he has done and all he said against the police. And in a related subject, what's going on back in New York City today needs to be addressed because it absolutely has a tendency to engulf and envelop the entire nation. There is a disgusting, and I want to highlight that word, disgusting black group in New York that gathered in Times Square and chanting that police are murderers. And they, this group, demand justice. Stop the bus for a minute. In every occupation in life, there are bad people that do not belong in that occupation. I don't care if there's accountants. I don't care if there's lawyers. I don't care if there's doctors. I don't care what profession. Teachers, the list goes on and on. And eventually the bad has to be weeded out. But to stand up there on Times Square and say that police are murderers, that's an all-encompassing statement. And they, the blacks, demanding justice, let me tell you something. Here's a little justice for you folks. Raise your kids to respect law and order. Raise your kids to respect teachers at the schools. Raise your kids to respect the police. Raise your kids to respect your community. And keep them off the streets. And maybe there won't have to be justice. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I want to also say and acknowledge right now about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. That lovely lady, Dr. Christine Pickup, was on our program last Thursday for about 10-15 minutes. And you can learn so much about hearing from talking to her. And the health of the inner ear, this is really important to me and other people, is affected by your cardiovascular and kidney health. I did not know that. And that's why if you're having problems with your heart or your kidneys, you should definitely arrange for a hearing screening today. All you have to do is call her at 312-0957. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. You make an appointment today at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You know what? It is time. I'm going to give away a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls. I mean, everybody that's got these and has won has said, whoa, baby, it's wonderful. Well, here's the deal. It's for first-time winners only at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. And if you're the winner, call over there and tell them when you need the cinnamon rolls. They'll get them all baked up, and then you can go in and pick them up. They're open 6 to 6 weekdays and 6 to 2 on weekends. And here is the question for the day, and it's a really easy one. Easy. In the movie, one of my favorite movies, and we're getting back into that season of the year, in the movie It's a Wonderful Life with James Stewart and Donna Reed, who played the town constable? Who was the actor that played the town constable in the movie It's a Wonderful Life? And if you know the answer, first-time callers only, call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In the movie It's a Wonderful Life, who was the actor that played the town constable? Come on, it's an easy question. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And you may be the winner of a delicious half-dozen cinnamon rolls. Oh, my. They are fantabulous. Come on, who was the town constable? Who was the actor that played that part in the movie It's a Wonderful Life? And I'll give a little hint here to you folks. He went on to have his own Western TV series. Does that help you? Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quickly, give me a call. And while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I'm also going to mention about Berry Equipment and Rental. I didn't think that question was that hard. I really didn't. Give me a call. Berry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations serving you. Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Over at the Burley location, just drive by and look at all the absolute fantastic equipment there for rent or purchase. And they've got all the Bobcat skid steer loaders and the Coyote tractors and the great big Doosan loaders. Oh, my goodness. They've got the equipment to get any job done right. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, Saturdays 8 to 5. You give a call or stop in at Berry Equipment and Rental in Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, is it Ward Bond?
Who is this?
Donna Fenton.
What? Say your name again, please.
Donna Fenton.
Oh, Donna. Did you have time to go look it up on the computer?
No, I didn't.
I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you. It was Ward Bond. And as a portion of another part of a question, do you remember what television series he starred in?
Oh, dear. I should. It wasn't Wagon Train?
Yes, it was, my dear.
It was because I liked him.
Yes, I can tell you did, but Ward Bond was the crusty old leader of the Wagon Train on that NBC show, Wagon Train, Ward Bond. God bless you, and all you have to do is call over to Sophie's and let them know when you're going to be there for the cinnamon rolls. They'll have them ready for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Donna.
Bye.
All right, Donna Fenton is the winner. Ward Bond. And he played in a lot of movies. And then, of course, Wagon Train TV series with Robert Fuller and others. I really enjoyed that. Yo! There they go. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering you qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is get a hold of Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they can save you money with Lennox. Folks, I want to say that this issue, I think purposely, has been put on the back burner in the Times News. We have not heard a lot about the refugee center as of late. And I have from Professor Randy Gibbons in Texas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of real concern regarding what's going on around the United States with various refugee centers. I think it will scare you, the information that I have. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Hey, on a lighter note, did you hear about that Jeopardy, the answer on the Jeopardy show?
Doug, you got me at completely your will. I have no clue what you're talking about.
Well, on the Jeopardy, there was a showing a flower, and it said the name of this flower, and it often represents the Liberal Party.
Oh, well, then I know the answer to it, Doug. It was a blooming idiot.
Yeah, pretty close.
Oh, okay.
The right answer was a bleeding heart.
Oh.
But the answer this one lady wrote down was a pansy.
I love it. Really.
Well, I thought you needed a chuckle this morning.
I did. You know, I'm not used to doing a lot of driving. I haven't been going as much this last summer as I do all the previous 44 years of being in the rodeo business. And I got to be honest with you that I got a little tired driving home yesterday.
Oh, that's me. I used to drive a lot myself, but I don't miss it.
You know, I didn't mind at all until, you're almost home. Let's say you're about 50 to 60 miles from home, and your brain says, I'm tired, and you can't wait to drive in the driveway. That's the longest 50 miles when you get that close.
It is.
Yep.
It is. When you do a lot of driving, it's real hard on you mentally.
Yeah, especially when you run into kooks and crackpots that try to pass semis on the right when they're passing back into the lane you're in.
Oh, I know it.
Oh.
I've seen so much stuff out there, Zeb, that I've seen a gal going down the road one time. She had a book in the steering wheel of her car.
Oh, I know what you mean.
But that isn't the worst part. The husband was in the passenger seat asleep.
Oh, my.
She had 3 kids in the back seat.
Oh, my.
And she's reading a flippin' book.
You know, there was a girl, the heck with the girl stuff. She was a lady that went by me one morning. Oh, this has been 2 years ago out here on Highway 30. I'm headed into Twin. It's my day off. And I get up by the feedlot, by the viaduct over there. You know where I'm talking about. And I come off the viaduct, and I'm going around the curve, headed towards Hanson, and the double yellow line ends, and this lady passes me, and just like you're talking about, she had a handful of papers that she was reading as she passed me, and I thought, where are the police when you need them?
Very, very. They got to have an IQ test before they give a driver's license.
They would never pass.
They wouldn't, would they?
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
God bless.
Appreciate it. I want to just give you this information real quick. And this is going to take longer than just about 20 minutes that we have left on this program. But I know that there are communities right now like Pickens County in South Carolina. I know that there are places in Minnesota. I know that there are great concerns as to what's going on with the Muslim refugees in California, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and North Dakota, along with right here in Magic Valley. And many or most of these states that I mentioned are having absolutely concerned citizens speak out against the influx of Muslim refugees coming into their area. And then, on the other side of that coin, in St. Cloud, Minnesota, a group of concerned citizens really were upset at a town hall meeting last Tuesday when the governor of the state of Minnesota announced, and listen to these words, anyone who is not comfortable with that state's growing diversity, including its expanding Somali refugee populations, should go find another state to live. Whoa! Wait a minute. He said if you are that intolerant, If you are that much of a racist or a bigot, then find another state. Find a state where the minority population is 1% or whatever. It's not that in Minnesota. It's never going to be again. You know, there is a major concern, and it's not just me here on the radio. You know that. There are major concerns about what's happening with the introduction and induction of Muslims into our society, and many, many more people than just me. Many more people in broadcasting. Many people in medicine. Many people in all walks of life are very concerned about what's going on with these pro-immigration movements to infiltrate all the Muslims into various communities. Caller, go ahead, you're on the air.
Well, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. But there was a movie called Black Hawk Down, and it was about, Somalia and a city there. The dysfunction of these poor people, and let's face it, some of them are refugees. But let's face it, you never know what you're going to get. And they were, literally so just chaotic that you just say to yourself, when is somebody going to say, I guess it's even when it does happen, something terrible happens and some of these refugees one morning wake up and decide to change their mind, or maybe they've just been waiting to do something. And you say to yourself, what poor family is going to suffer, or a group of people, or we don't know what they're capable of anything.
Well, Randy, hang on a minute. Don't ramble on me. Just hang on a second. Next, in 2 months, in December, in New York City, the government is putting together a major pro-immigration conference that's set for New York City, and they're going to be featuring sessions on how to counter the growing backlash against refugees, particularly Muslim refugees. And what they want to do is create what's called a new American dream. And this new American Dream program aims to convert 5 million refugees into new Americans armed with full citizenship and voting rights. And they are coming out with questions and answers as to how to combat people like you and people like me, and absolutely identify us as Islamophobic and hate mongers, and that's how they're going to beat us in the local communities.
Well, maybe you can call us what you want, Islamophobic, but you see, you never know when it's going to strike and who it's going to hit.
That's right.
And you see, do we just not care if it happens to our neighbor?
Yeah.
You see? Do we just not care until it hits us?
Here's what's printed, Randy.
If you want your children to be able to walk down the street to and from school, is it not our responsibility to make sure that we keep this thing safe?
Yeah, well, here, wait a minute.
It's an uncertain thing.
Wait a minute.
Who knows?
Let me read to you part of what is printed on the program guide for this conference in New York. Just listen carefully to these words. This has already been printed. This session will explore the resurgence of anti-immigrant and Islamophobic rhetoric and activism, and the recent use of Islamophobia to undermine refugee settlement. This new development has implications for receiving communities and for refugee resettlement, particularly of Muslim refugees. How does this backlash against resettlement fit within the broader attacks on Muslims in the United States? And what are the best ways to respond? Who are the key actors fueling this campaign, and how is their message spreading? Hear from experts from the Muslim community and from refugee resettlement leaders about this new challenge and potential responses. This whole thing is set up to minimize us and maximize more Muslims coming into these various communities.
Well, a couple of weeks ago in D.C. there was 1 million people, and I can't think of his, Farrakhan was speaking out, and that's the kind of Muslims, that kind of radical Islam is, it's insanity, Zeb. It's so insane that you can't even hardly believe that it's occurring. But you have to go back to reality because you have to support your family.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, we're going to be doing, I'm going to have Randy on the program, the professor of University of Texas, Randy Austin, and explain a little bit more about this that he found. And this is from an article that was printed in the Faith Front Page Politics of U.S. World News by Leo Holloman. I'm not making this up. And we're going to be talking about it more in the upcoming days. Randy, thank you so much for your call and concern. Thank you.
Thanks, Zeb.
All right, buddy. Time for the weather. Got to run to the weather, and the weather's brought to you by Mad River Laser. And they've got a gift shop that has all kinds of home decor items for the fall and for Thanksgiving and, yes, for Christmas. And, of course, all the Halloween and fall goodies are right there. You got to get in there. It's a fun, fun place. And, by the way, Mad River Laser can make all your end-of-the-year awards for your business. They do a phenomenal job. Please stop in and see them at 502 East Street in Rupert, Mad River Laser. And now here's the weather.
It's going to be another beautiful day as we head on into the work week. Sunny skies, high of 60. Expect an overnight low of 35 for tomorrow. Sunny and 56 with an overnight low of 31. Mostly cloudy and 60 for Wednesday, and we do have a 60% chance of rain showers for Thursday. Wind's going to be picking up as well. High of 51 with an overnight low of 34. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent job, and appreciate it. Mad River Laser brings the weather to us this hour at 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop over and see them today. Here's a statement that was made, and I got to get the name correctly here, by Jonelle Rains, and she is very outspoken activist in Pickens County, South Carolina. And she's absolutely against what the government is doing into forcing communities into accepting and receiving and basically funding these Muslim immigrants. She said, quote, "Muslims are using Christians as a way to infiltrate, using our good nature, our Christian values, using that against us." And she said, in my opinion, it's all about money, too. Judas betrayed Jesus for money, and there is so much money involved in this program. Everyone is getting more than their share, and they're betraying the people of the United States. In my opinion, it's borderline treason. So I got involved in this pretty hot and heavy. The one place I felt I could make a difference is in my local community. Enough said. And the same is true for what's going on right here in Twin Falls, Idaho area. As a matter of fact, in this article that was written by Mr. Leo Holman, Twin Falls area, and without specifically saying CSI or the Times News, was mentioned about 3 or 4 different times. And one part of the story said small cities like Twin Falls, Idaho, Fargo, North Dakota, and Spartanburg, South Carolina, have seen a war of words break out in recent months between those who want to welcome the stranger and those who suggest a much more cautious approach. How true. And like I said, we're going to be doing some breakout sessions and segments on this program regarding that. I'm not going to let this issue die. I'm not going to let it die. I am against the refugee center at CSI for what they are attempting to do and doing currently, and also against the Times News. And they are the ones, the Times News, that are doing their utmost to create the Islamophobic attitude of us that are against this program being the bigots and the hate mongers. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call. I've got about 9 minutes left. Come on, give me a jingle on the landline. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires. I mean that. All your tires that you need for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, snowmobile trailers. Man, the list goes on and on. They're all there. Yep, go in and talk to the experts. They have majored in tireology, and they know all about the tires. And, of course, the best in brake service, too. Professionally trained technicians, premium quality parts, the brake industry's best warranty at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Along with shocks and struts, front-end alignments, the best in batteries. It's all there for you with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best. I am really surprised that the phone lines aren't lighting up. I'm really surprised that people aren't voicing their opinion about what's going on, and there is a lot of pushback about refugees in many, many states across this United States. And people are starting to ask questions about cost to local school and health systems and security concerns, and also, let's just call it like it is, the potentiality of terrorism. And that's part of the American way to ask questions and demand answers, and not be called a bigot or a hate monger. Come on, give me your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I noticed in this story that on October 6th, a Tea Party group approached the city council in Redlands, California, and asked representatives on the council to put out a plan for keeping the city safe from any potential Syrian refugee settlements. And they just came right out and said, our nation is based on Judeo-Christian beliefs, and we value freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and property rights as protected by our Constitution. And she said she does not want others to come in and possibly change things, and also the imposition possibly of Sharia law. Can't blame them for that. Give me a call. Come on, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, congratulations while I'm waiting for your call. Larry Hudig was the winner of the Denny's Football Grand Slam Breakfast. And congratulations to him, and thank you again to Denny's for all their help. We appreciate it. Grand Slam Breakfast every week during football season if you pick the correct team and the closest to the final score of our Denny's football high school game of the week. And he did it. Larry Hudig, congratulations. Good job. Let's see what else have we got here. Oh, Hillary. Yeah, I got to mention this about Hillary. She is so far removed from really what is happening. You know, that woman must be really, really isolated by her staff and her information providers, etc. She made the statement this past weekend that the veterans are completely satisfied with the VA. Oh, she acknowledged there may have been a few smaller little glitches or some bumps on the highway, but not any real problems. Well, this morning I was watching the news, and one veteran was on television, and he said he would be more than happy to get a hold of her campaign staff, make arrangements, and pay for the expenses to chauffeur her around and go find out about what happened in Phoenix, Arizona. Go find out and see what is going on with the delay of treatment to our vets at other various locations, and show Hillary the real truth. And so here she comes out and she's making all these statements. This woman could possibly be the next president of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen. This is really concerning. She is not able, she is not adept, and she is not intellectually capable of being the number one person in the Oval Office. I just wish people would wake up and see how dangerous she is. All right, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's hard to believe, you're on certain subjects on the radio sometime, and you think, oh, man, the phone lines are going to light up, and it's going to be just really cruising. And then you don't get any. Wheels, what'd you do? Turn the phones off? What's the matter with you? I'm going to have to dock your pay.
I don't know.
No,
I wonder if everybody's just vanished.
Oh, they must have just vanished into thin air. There was a movie like that one time. By the way, too, we've got a public service announcement. I got to get in here real quick. And it's, oh my goodness, what I do to it. Here it is. A cover crop tour will be held on November 4th in Minidoka and Cassia counties. And Doreen McMurray sent this to me, and I promised I would get this on the air. The tour will spotlight fields where cover crops of 3 or more varieties have been planted. And at the end of the tour, there will be a Dutch oven lunch served at the end of the tour. And the cover crop tour and luncheon is free, but you must RSVP to Doreen McMurray at 878-5556. Easy number to remember. 878-555 and then a 6 by next Monday, November 2nd. So get that taken care of. You are listening to Zeb at the Ranch, and make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for hearing screening. Call 312-0957 today. Coming up next hour, Doug Johnson from Colorado, and then the Alliance Defending Freedom with Kerry Kupek, the Scows Answer Man, and then much, much more for the remainder of our program this morning, right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Quick 30-second call. Fast caller, go ahead.
George Bush is contemplating on getting, or not George, but Jeb Bush is contemplating on getting out of the race. He's meeting with his family right now.
Yes, he is.
My scenario is he's vindictive enough to lean towards Hillary just to defeat Trump.
I wouldn't comment on speculation, but there are a lot of things that I'd worry about. Thank you, Keith. I got to run to the news. Thank you so much. And Jeb's having a lot of campaign financing problems right now. Anyway, we're going to be back in about 6 minutes. Zeb at the Ranch, don't you go away. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Blue sky with just a little wisp of clouds out there this morning. And this is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And some of our great advertisers, just like our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh my, let me tell you, they got the Go Minis, and these are available to all residential and commercial portable moving and storage needs. They are really, really handy at Western Waste Services. Locally owned and operated, they can serve you. How about some of the dumpsters, various sizes? Get rid of all the garbage and everything you've stored up in that garage, or in my case, my office. And they are always at your disposal. 734-6969. Remember these good folks, Western Waste Services, serving you. Hey, by the way, too, don't forget every morning at 8:06 when we start the program, of course, we have our weather forecast right off the bat, and it is brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, whatever you need to make your house a home. 678-6945, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. And I really have to always, it's not bragging, it's the truth. These are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet and ever work with. And that's Joel Heward and his family and his staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. They absolutely care and always treat you with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. And I suggest that you and I and everyone please get the pre-information on funerals to help alleviate a lot of the stress and the worry for our families. They can help. They will help at 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Really, really nice people. And, of course, when I talk about nice people, I have to talk about this next gentleman because he is truly one of the nicest people I've ever had on my program. From Colorado, Doug Johnson. Doug, how are you this morning?
Well, a little shocked, but rarely am I called nice, but thank you, Zeb. It's very nice of you to say that.
Well, now, I want to go back and be very open and honest and upfront with the public. You sent me an email in regards to a blog that you had done on Ben Carson, and I'm a very blunt person. I said I thought it was a good blog. It was well worded, and your point was clear about a comment that Ben Carson had made, and some people took it the wrong way. Go ahead and explain the content of what I just said, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Sure. Well, I wrote a blog post over the weekend questioning whether something Ben Carson just said was a problem. And what he had done is he had gotten into some issues in an interview with Glenn Beck. And in that interview, he, excuse me, my throat's a little tickly this morning. In that interview, he had said that he thinks that if he were president, the Department of Education should be used to monitor institutions of higher education, and if they got into any extreme political ideology and tried to push that federal funding should be removed from those institutions. And, of course, the question I raised with that is that while I don't like to see them advocating those ideologies and indoctrinating our children, the fact is that even if he was trustworthy and handled it well, that does not mean if another president got into office and had that power, he wouldn't abuse it. And while I didn't cite examples in my post at length because I would think most people over the past 7 years have seen enough abuse of the Constitution and the laws by the current president that they would recognize this. What shocked me, Zeb, was that I got a number of people, some on Twitter, some on direct emails to me, saying they have no problem with Ben Carson. They thought I was wrong to criticize him and that he would be perfectly trustworthy. And they totally missed the point that it's, in my mind, not really even about Ben Carson. It's about giving a power to government that allows them, no matter who's running it, to do terrible things with. Because you always have to think beyond the current person. And what amazed me is so many people missed that point and were writing to me about this, and that's why I wrote to you, because I respect your opinion. And I wanted to know if my point was clear. Well, but it's shocking. In fact, I actually, just as I was on hold, got another message from somebody challenging it, saying, well, you're just pulling things out of thin air. And I wrote back to the person quickly, and I said, go to the link in my article, and you can hear him say it to Glenn Beck. It's in the link. The audio is there to hear. This is not something that's made up. But it amazes me how people don't read and pay attention and think deeply. This is part of our problem in our country. We don't ask the deep questions, the right questions, the critically thought out questions.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Doug. There's so many things that you've opened up for an area of conversation. Number one, let's read the actual comment that Carson had stated about the Department of Education. Go ahead and read that, and then I want to come back right after you finish reading it. Go ahead.
Yeah, what he said was that the purpose that he would see for the Department of Education would be to monitor our institutions of higher education for extreme political bias and deny federal funding if it exists.
All right, now right there should be a clue, should be a key to the treasure box that it doesn't make any difference if it's the liberal slant or if it's a far-right conservative slant. Different viewpoints, but you're opening the Pandora's box of having the government and certain individuals regulate free speech and free thought, and that is bad for all parties concerned.
Well, exactly, and Zeb, I know if there's an audience in this country that understands this, it's yours. Because how many times, and I'm asking a rhetorical question here, but how many times over the last 7 or 8 years have you talked on your show about how this administration, the Department of Homeland Security, the military, all these different groups, have defined certain groups as being greater threats to the country, as being more apt to be terrorists. They talk about returning military from service overseas. They talk about patriots who fly flags, who read their Bibles, who go to church, who, well, the list goes on and on. And they cite them and have just recently done it again, saying we are the worst terrorist threat to our nation, worse than the Islamic terrorist threat. And so you take something like this and put this in the hands of the current administration, for example, and what they would be looking at is saying, well, if somebody in a school is promoting patriotism, because that's what it boils down to that we stand for, then we need to stop that and pull the federal funding from the school, because they should not be teaching that. This is how that little phrase Ben Carson said could be so grossly taken out of context or out of its true meaning.
Now, let me say this. I'm going to take a break for a commercial here, just a moment, but I want you to be mulling this over. Do you think, A, he misspoke, or B, there was real intent to that comment? And I want you to come back and give me your opinion right after I do this commercial. Don't forget Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn, where the fun is sold. Oh, there's still plenty of time to get out and enjoy the fall. Yes, there is, and they've got the Suzuki 4x4s and great rebates, too. And don't forget the snow machines and the brand new Timber Sled snow bikes. All of this to get outside and enjoy southern Idaho. Yep, it's true. All the accessories and a great service department, too, at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. It is true, where the fun is sold. You stop over and see them today. By the way, I also want to mention real quick about my friends, and they are my friends. Snake River Auto Body and Paint in Twin Falls at 404 4th Avenue West in Twin. Number to call, 734-5790. Got a little ding in the fender or maybe a little groove in the front of the grill? Well, I'll tell you what, they've got the estimators and the employees that can fix it with quality workmanship, and of course customer service and satisfaction is guaranteed. They worked on my truck and they are good. I highly recommend them. Snake River Auto Body and Paint at 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Call my old buddy Dan and the crew at 734-5790. On the air with Doug Johnson from Colorado. Doug, I asked you a question prior to that commercial break. Give me the answer. Was it a faux pas, or what do you think the reasoning for his statement was?
I think it was poorly worded. I don't think his intent is bad. I think Ben Carson is a very honorable man. My worry is what would happen with people working for him or people in the future. And let me say that he's done this before on other topics over the last couple of years, actually. And so now I'm going to offend everybody who loves their doctor and any doctors in the audience, but at the risk of doing that, I'm going to do that. My business is communication. That's what I've spent my life doing. You do it too, Zeb. One of the key things in the kind of work each of us does is making sure things are clear and easy to understand. Doctors are not trained that way. Doctors are trained to speak authoritatively and not be questioned. So just like Rand Paul, who is a much poorer communicator than Ben Carson, I think that's one of the reasons his candidacy is faltering. The fact is that this may just be he's not as good at making things clear as some other people might be. I just think he didn't say it well. I don't think his intention at all is anything bad or evil for the country. But we as the citizens need to have the bigger picture mindset and be thinking critically, and we need to hold him accountable. And for example, if he were on your show, it would be important to raise this with him and get him to drill down to be really clear about what he's saying, because if he were in office and doing this could lead to real trouble.
Well, no, wait a minute.
And that's my whole point.
Yeah, Doug, your point is excellent, and it was not mincing words. I like bluntness and I like directness, but I will say this in accordance with the point you made a moment ago. You are in communications, and I am in communications. We study about the various subject matter. We study about the various people that are involved in those subjects. It is, in my opinion, our duty as a talk show host or as you, a political critic, to be very judgmental of all people running for public office, their do's, their don'ts, their pluses and their minuses, so that the general public can form an opinion. Without us and people like us, these people, like Barack Obama did, will railroad right over us. And I think what we do is very important. Your response?
Oh, I agree entirely, and I think, let's take this to the personal, individual citizen or family level. It's important because of what our schools have become that we make sure our children are getting the proper education. When they're very little, teaching them things like mathematics is really critical because math teaches logical thinking processes. As they get older, making sure they understand logic and teaching them logic, which allows them critical thinking, is really important because it doesn't just help them win a debate. It helps them when they hear something or read something to look at it, analyze it, and scrutinize it. And this is what we as citizens need to be doing, and I don't think much of America does that anymore. And so, I accept that a politician, just like any other human being, can say things and not quite get it clear. My concern when I got the feedback I did, Zeb, and I wrote to you, was because I want to be clear, and I want to make sure I'm writing it clear. And so I wanted to turn to somebody I trusted and say, what do you think? But on the same count, as individuals, we need to raise our children so they can take and look at things and raise these same questions, not in an effort to destroy Ben Carson, but an effort to hold him and any other politician accountable so that our government is run the way it was founded to be.
I could not agree more. Now, on a related subject in the time remaining this morning, I'm going to be having Jeff Dickens from the Media Research Center on at 10:30 this morning, talking about what happened or didn't happen with the Hillary Clinton Benghazi hearing. Any thoughts on that this morning?
Yeah, I think it's a dead issue. I think she walked out with a huge victory, and I think this gives her a clear path to the nomination. And at this point in time, if the election were held today, I think she would easily be the next president. Hopefully that changes as the months go forward. But right now, between the hearing and how poorly it was handled, and also the debate just prior to that, where Bernie Sanders and the other candidates and the media just gave her a free pass on the email scandal, she's home scot-free, and now she's got a clear path to the nomination, and from there, then she can fight for the presidency.
What you said, it was a victory. Basically, I'm summing up your words of victory. She walked out a champion, and she walked out basically with her head held high, saying, I showed those guys. Was it the Clinton political machine that won this battle? Was it the behind the scenes and under the table that really won it for Hillary?
I think that was part of it, but I think the other part that won it was the progressives in the Republican Party.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to remember there are only a few dozen conservatives in Washington in the House that are conservative. There are not very many, and so the House Republicans are mostly establishment, progressive, or go along to get along Republicans. And these people allow this stuff to slide. They allow it to go through. They don't press it. They don't challenge it. And so we end up where we're at. And this takes us, it's always full circle back to the same thing. This is why we need to clean house. This is why we have the problems we do in our country. These politicians will not do their job. And I will even somewhat lay that at the feet of Trey Gowdy, who I think didn't push as hard as he should have in this hearing. I think that they let her off too easily.
I agree with you. Now, there's one other subject that I wanted to let you know that since our previous conversations back weeks and even months ago in regards to John Boehner and then possibly a subsequent person to take over that job, and then Paul Ryan, of course, his name coming to the forefront, I have developed my own list of grave, Grave, concerns about Paul Ryan. I'm going to have you respond to that in a moment, Doug, but first of all, let's take this phone call. Caller, real quick, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. Lois Lerner has been exonerated or dropped all charges and everything against her, but yet the investigation is going on. Can they call her back in?
All right, I'll have Doug respond on the air. Doug, go ahead, please.
I think they can, but I really don't know. I think that what we've seen, Congress says they're going to continue to pursue this, but I don't think they have any teeth to do anything. So I think we're really at a standstill. And certainly even if they can do something to her, they're doing nothing about the IRS itself. And so I think that that's another great example of a scandal that, once again, just we lose on because things don't go the right way. And it's also a reason why I think we may need to change something in our government, and that is the Department of Justice should not be run by a presidential appointee. Because clearly all this Justice Department does is Obama's bidding. They do nothing else. They don't prosecute those who should be prosecuted, and they go after the people who shouldn't be. And this shouldn't happen, and we need to find a way to change that, because right now what we have with Eric Holder, what we have with Loretta Lynch is the same thing. They just won't do their job.
Okay, now I want to get right to, I've only got a couple of minutes left, and I want to get to Paul Ryan. All the glitters is not gold, and just because this younger man than I was born and raised, less than 18 miles away from my hometown, the more I study Paul Ryan, the more I study his politics, the more I study his open borders philosophy, the more I study everything that he is standing for and or against, the more I dislike him. But now here we're backed into a corner time-wise with the possible acceptance and his nodding that he'll take the job. What about this Speaker of the House position? How concerned are you right now, Doug?
Well, I'm very concerned, but I shocked a host last week, and I may shock you with this statement, too. I think it's a done deal. I think Paul Ryan is the next Speaker. He's already hiring staff as Speaker, and I think it's just a done deal. It's just a matter of them going through the formal vote. I don't think it's open for discussion anymore. They may say it is, but I really don't think it is.
Do you think...
And let me add this. This raises an issue if a true conservative or a change agent is elected president. A Ben Carson, a Ted Cruz, a Donald Trump. You're going to have a fight between the president and the ruling class in the House on everything they want to do. Because if you have a Trump who wants to build a wall and clean up our immigration problems, and you've got a Paul Ryan who wants to have amnesty and give all these people citizenship, you're going to have a battle going on like crazy, and it's going to be a tough one.
Do you think he is going to follow the same lineage, if you will, and philosophy of thought that Boehner did, or is he going to break out on his own? Is he, which side of the fence is he going to fall on?
I think you're going to see him be another Boehner. Now, he may not punish people the way Boehner did, but I think you're going to see the same basic plans and ideology and views try to go through. We can't forget, it's really easy to forget that, he was an establishment Republican chosen to be a vice presidential candidate in 2012. Nice guy, has done some good things, because sometimes establishment people do some of the things they stand for we agree with. But when it comes down to the real tough stuff and the tough decisions, he's gone the wrong way too many times. And so this is going to need to be, once again, a continual fight on our part, because we don't have the votes, we don't have the strength to stand up. And I believe if the Republicans fall short at all on votes to get him in as Speaker, and I don't think they will, but if they do, the Democrats are ready to hand him the extra votes he needs, and then it's a done deal.
Okay, quickly, Doug, I've only got 2 minutes left, but I got to ask you this question. I had a caller last hour call up and say, Jeb Bush, naturally, we all know he's having trouble in the polls, single digits, and money trouble also with his donors. Jeb Bush, draw out of the race, and then also, do you think there's any chance that he would play the poor little whipping boy and come after Trump by maybe endorsing Hillary? The caller called me on that last hour, and I don't trust what Jeb might do. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't trust it either. I haven't thought about him doing that. I think he would get behind an establishment candidate, and there is talk within the establishment ranks they would break out and take their own candidate as a third-party candidate to go against Trump. And so you would see Jeb or Marco Rubio or one of those as the candidate. And wouldn't even be surprised to see a ticket of a Jeb Marco ticket as the third party. I think it's very dangerous. His father, they said this weekend, George H.W. Bush, is shocked by the situation, can't understand, and recited all these things that people say about Trump that aren't true, that he believes are, and can't understand why Trump's winning over his son. Well, he doesn't even know what Trump stands for, or he's lying. I don't know which. But I think what you've got in the Bush family is they're seeing shades of Ross Perot, and they're very nervous about that. And the other high-pressure factor is that this is probably the last election, the presidential election, that George H.W. Bush will see. And so for his son to get elected it's really important to their family they do it while the father is still alive.
I agree.
He may surprise us and live longer, but I mean, at 91, obviously his days are numbered.
Absolutely. Doug, you did it again. Great job. Great conversation. Doug Johnson, Colorado. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work, and we'll have you back again next Monday.
Thanks, Zeb, and thanks for the input on my blog.
All right, buddy.
Have a good week.
Take care. Thank you very, very much. Good friend of mine, Doug Johnson, back in Colorado. We've got to pay some bills here real quick. Don't forget our friends at Cameron Siemens Insurance. You know, it's always the case that we're going to put things off on the back burner that we really don't want to do or we don't want to talk about. Insurance happens to be one of those, I'm sure. Well, make sure that you are protected with the life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits that you should have for you, your family, and your business. They've got it all right there at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, and they're very accessible and devoted to serving you. The number to call for an appointment, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Really good folks. By the way, also, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric along with Lennox, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Absolutely. By the way, also, before I get my next guest on the phone, I want to remind you, many, many times on this program over the last couple of weeks, I have mentioned to you about firearm ownership and learning the proper safety procedures and learning how to protect yourself, because the police cannot be all places at the drop of a hat. I urge you to go into Red's Trading Post at 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. They have a large selection of firearms from Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson, and Winchester, and all the ammo and all the accessories. But above all that, they have the people that really understand and know all about firearms. Since 1936 in historic Old Town Twin Falls, these folks know guns. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. You stop in and see them today. Well, she is back from a great trip. Good morning to the lovely Carrie Kupek with the Alliance Defending Freedom. How are you, Carrie?
Doing great, Zeb. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad, but I've got to ask you, what was it like? Seriously, I'm taking some time away from our stories here this morning, but what was it like to go to Israel?
It was wonderful. It was my first time to Israel. And I don't know if you've been there, but it's amazing to see the biblical sites come to life, right? It's the Bible coming to life. And to be able to see that in person, and then to also see just the geopolitical situation right in front of your face. We actually were able to go up to the Golan Heights and view the borders of Syria and Lebanon, also the borders of Gaza, and see all of these things for myself. It was just an unbelievable experience.
Let me ask you this, Carrie, for a person that's never been there, was the size and the stature of Israel as compared to the surrounding area and the danger zones, was that much more comprehensive than you thought it would be?
Yes, so Israel is the size of New Jersey. It's tiny, and when you're there, you really get a sense of how small it is and how, quite truly, their enemies are pressing in on every side. The mainstream media continuously mischaracterizes Israel, and it's really unfortunate because among many things I learned there, it was actually really quite interesting to learn how generous Israel is to their enemies and how much they provide for their neighbors in order to prevent war, in order to keep the quote-unquote peace. And so you get a real overwhelming sense of that there, and you really get a sense of how every day they have to be watching essentially their backs, especially because of the enemies and against them that really are on every side.
When you say that about a 24/7 vigilance, and they have to be so careful, and with all the absolute heinous crimes that are being committed over there by Hamas, etc., against the Israelis, what about you? What about your safety? Were you at all concerned while you were there?
Not at all. That was quite interesting to me. I had a number of emails and texts come in inquiring about my safety as I was there. And to be completely frank with you, I felt unbelievably safe. It was very peaceful, very safe. I actually felt safer there than I do here in Washington, D.C., where I work and live.
Oh, really?
And it was quite something. Very, very safe.
And are the people themselves, are they really kind of looking out of the corner of their eye, worrying and very vigilant about something bigger and more heinous happening every day?
They know what's at stake, and that's obvious. They're serious about, their day-to-day lives, because their day-to-day lives have a dimension that we really don't know in the United States. So they are keenly and acutely aware of what's going on around them, but they're still living these joyful, really exuberant lives, still, participating in their religious activities and their work lives and really living life to the fullest, despite the fact that they have, those that oppose them really pushing in from all parts of their country, all borders.
I want to talk quickly, if I can, Carrie, about the Illinois School District regarding the respect of children's privacy. I remember a couple of months ago you talked to me about a story to where some of the school districts around the United States were considering and or already doing the kind of open locker room, open bathroom type facility for boys and girls at the same time. I find this to be nothing more than one of the most heinous acts against a civilized society like America. What's going on in this Illinois school district?
So it's the same kind of situation. We've sent another letter to another school district in Illinois, really encouraging them to affirm the privacy rights of students. The school is considering adopting a policy that will allow boys in girls' locker rooms and bathrooms and vice versa. And the reason why is because some transgender students have expressed a desire to use the opposite bathroom or locker room, and so the school is considering completely turning on its head their policy that ensures student safety and privacy. So we have sent them a letter saying, no, you don't have to do so. There is no federal law that requires you to take such drastic measures and put the safety of students in danger, and instead we have drafted a model policy that allows an accommodation to these very few students in these schools that want this other bathroom access, and that's anything from access to a unisex bathroom, a private space, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is that one of any school's first priority and duty is to be protecting and ensuring the safety of the boys and girls that attend there. And a policy like this, or changing the policy like this, turns it on its head completely.
And when you say turn it on its head completely, I am sitting here and I'm just taken aback that we in the majority plurality rules society of America with the votes, etc., that we would consider totally upending and throwing in the garbage can our morality for a minuscule amount of people. Why in the world are we giving them their rights over and above ours in a civilized society? It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense. You're absolutely right. And it really seriously endangers these students' privacy and safety. Aside from just the obvious aspect of that, these are students and these are kids who are developing and changing and going through a very sensitive time in their physical development. So for us to say, let's have anybody and everybody use your bathroom or use your locker room, it's just somewhat mind-boggling and potentially very damaging to these students who would be put into this kind of situation. The school owes it to the parents and the school owes it to their students to make sure that everyone feels safe and everyone has the private space and to engage in a very personal activity, which is why that if a school is considering changing their policy, their bathroom policy, they should really take a look at the recommended policy that we have created, because it really provides a win-win solution for everybody involved.
You know, Carrie, I want to ask you, one portion of this that I read undermines parental authority. What about parents?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if this would have happened, honestly, and I've thought a lot about this, if this would have happened when I was in high school, my dad and mother and my entire neighborhood, I think almost 99.9% of the population where I was born and raised would have been outraged. They would have stormed the school. They would have absolutely ridden the superintendent and the principal out of town on a rail. Why are they doing this?
It's really hard to say. I don't have an answer for you on that. I think that you have activists who are really pushing a very concerning agenda on our young people's minds that say that you have to be okay with this. You have to be okay with undressing or engaging in very personal, private activity in front of members of the opposite sex. Why? I don't know. It's very disturbing, and it really cuts to the core of a child or a teenager's sexuality and privacy. It's very, very sensitive issues. But to your point, in the last time I came on your show, we were talking about a school district, I believe, in Missouri.
Right.
The students themselves didn't want it. The students actually walked out and protested, saying, "We don't want this change in policy. We feel uncomfortable."
You know, I wish I had more time to spend on that story, but in the time remaining, I also want to talk about Texas and basically saying no to Planned Parenthood funding. Give us some background on this, would you please, Carrie?
Absolutely. So Texas just recently, last week, they ended taxpayer funding to the Planned Parenthood facilities in their state. They're redirecting these funds to the hundreds of federally qualified public health clinics that provide such a great variety of services, far more than Planned Parenthood does, but without engaging in those barbaric practices that the authenticated videos showed, which, as we know, we've talked about it multiple times on your show, with these videos that showed top-level Planned Parenthood executives and doctors haggling and joking over the trafficking of baby body parts. So the Texas governor said no more. We are no longer funding these. We're not sending any more Medicaid funding, which is the majority of the kind of funding that Planned Parenthood receives. They're not getting it anymore, and they actually made a few points that were very interesting. The Office of the Inspector General in Texas said the following: that Planned Parenthood and its affiliates are no longer capable of performing medical services in a professionally competent, safe, legal, and ethical manner. Number two, in this letter, it said that this termination of these funding, it won't affect access to care because, like I said earlier, there are thousands of alternate providers that accept this Medicaid funding that provide great services without engaging in this trafficking of body parts and the callous nature towards human life. And number three, that they just requested cooperation in informing all clients and potential clients of alternatives where they can obtain Medicaid services. So they said, look, we're not going to leave you hanging. If you have been going here, we're gonna help you out. We're going to find other places for you to go. So this is a great move. Wonderful action on the part of Governor Abbott, and I hope to see more of the same in other states.
Okay, but when you say that, you hope to see other action in other states. Are there other
kind of action?
Right.
Kind of the eliminating of Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood, because Medicaid funding is where they're getting most of their money from.
Absolutely, but are there other states that are starting to rise above the fray and, like Texas, say no to a very heinous group, Planned Parenthood? Are the other ones showing the nerve?
Yeah, well, so we saw that in Louisiana. We're seeing a number of states making movement towards this. I think Texas is going to provide a great model. I think it's going to inspire other states and other governors to take similar action. And we will see what happens. A number of states have also called for investigations within their states, so I think we're moving in a good direction.
Okay, now in the last couple of minutes, I want to revert back to your trip to Israel, and I want to ask you this. The politics always has to come into it, Carrie. You couldn't be over there without absorbing some of the politics and some of the nature of how people there feel regarding our president, and basically his shunning and kind of stepping away from Netanyahu and Israel as our number one ally in the region. What are their thoughts about our current administration and the relationship?
I think they're very concerned about the Iran deal. Again, when you're there, you have an overwhelming sense of how tiny Israel is and how easy it would be for them to be destroyed. And so for our administration to have signed an agreement that much more easily allows Iran access to a nuclear weapon, and with really, as Donald Trump even has said, this is not a deal. What kind of deal is this? It's a disaster. And the Israeli people they're keenly aware of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they feel sold out in some respect. It's so important for the United States to maintain a strong relationship with Israel, because this is, the really only truly democratic nation, as we know the word democracy, in the Middle East. This is a nation that is very pro-religious freedom in general. When you're there, you get such a sense of how tolerant they are.
Yeah.
You actually hear the Muslim calls for prayer over the loudspeakers throughout the day. This is a Jewish nation, but they allow this. The Baha'i religion, their headquarters are there. In fact, Israel has let them take one of the most beautiful parts of their country and let them make it their headquarters. In Gaza, for instance, I didn't know this, Israel supplies all the electricity to Gaza.
Oh.
Israel could essentially cut that electricity at any given moment.
Yeah.
So the people of Gaza get their electricity from Israel, and they get it for free. There could be many, many things that people are not aware of, and it's fascinating, and it's so crucial that we continue to maintain and promote and do whatever we can to support that kind of alliance.
Absolutely.
It's a key alliance in the Middle East, and it really serves as a block between a number of fighting nations that will very quickly turn and fight us next. So you get a very strong sense of that while you're there.
Okay, I've got to ask you this last question, and it's an emotional question. By being in Israel and being in the same place as a Christian where Jesus walked to his death on Golgotha, I have to ask you, what were the emotional feelings being there in that exact spot?
It was really incredible. It's kind of surreal. It's almost hard to connect everything you've been reading in the Bible your entire life to the fact that Jesus himself was there, and it is real. I think sometimes we create this sort of fairy tale, Narnia-esque picture in our minds. I know I had. And then when you're there, you think, wow, this is actually real. This is Nazareth. This is Golgotha. This is Capernaum. This is Bethlehem. This is the Sea of Galilee. And it's overwhelming, but it's really incredible. And one of my favorite aspects of the trip was standing on the Mount of Olives where Jesus would go to pray, and it overlooks Jerusalem, and you can see the old city remains, and it's quite majestic looking, and you can see why Jesus chose this place to pray. And, these were his people. This is his thing. Jesus, was a Jew, but also and was the Savior of the world. So it was just really incredible to be there in the flesh and to walk where he had actually walked.
Absolutely. Carrie Kupek, thank you for letting me get sidetracked a little bit off of that on your trip. And please tell everyone how they can get a hold of more of the information about these stories with the Alliance Defending Freedom.
They can go to adslegal.org. And they can take a look at all of our documents and cases and get a good feel of everything that we're up to.
All right. The Legal Communications Director for the Alliance Defending Freedom, Carrie Kupek. Thank you, Carrie. God bless, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, so have a good day.
All right, thank you. A very, very nice lady. And it's time for the weather, brought to you by Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 438-2485, or the cell phone number of 431-8733. Time to trim and prune and remove all those tree limbs, and don't forget to get those sprinkler systems blown out. Don't you let them freeze. And don't forget, Scott's got a brand new curbing machine, too, so if you want a new curber on your property, yep, that's the man to call. Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Here now is Gina with the weather.
It's going to be another beautiful day as we head on into the work week. Sunny skies, high of 60. Expect an overnight low of 35 for tomorrow, sunny and 56 with an overnight low of 31. Mostly cloudy and 60 for Wednesday, and we do have a 60% chance of rain showers for Thursday. Wind's going to be picking up as well. High of 51 with an overnight low of 34. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Rain.
Thank you very much, Gina, and brought to you by Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. The number to call for satisfaction guaranteed work, 438-2485 or 431-8733. It is time for the Scows CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts Answer Man. And, of course, they've got locations for Scows at 323 East 8th Street and Highway 25 in Rupert. CarQuest of Burley at 518 Overland in Burley, and over at Heyburn Scows Truck Center at I-84 exit 211 in Heyburn. And that's exactly where we're going to talk right now to Corey Smith, and he's going to tell us all about the Mahindra tractors. Corey, good to have you on the program. How are you, my friend?
I am great this morning. It's good to talk to you again. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I tell you what, you see on television all the Mahindra commercials, and everybody seems to be going, yeah, man, these are great tractors. You tell me why Mahindra. What makes them so good, Corey?
Well, I think the attitude of the company has a lot to do with it. Very serious concern, very successful long-term business. And I think the engineering, for example, the new engine is worth mentioning.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit. Go ahead.
Well, as everyone with a diesel engine is beginning to find out, in 2013, even engines under 75 horsepower are required to have emissions treatment systems on it. And
okay.
So this has really sent the manufacturers scrambling. Mahindra's approach, I think, was noteworthy here because it's a $30 million effort. They started this some time ago, and they designed an engine from the ground up. It's a different crank, different bearings, different pistons, everything about it. And again, it was a $30 million investment. And what they have as a result is an engine that burns clean. It's a big, torquey engine, and it does not use a diesel particulate filter.
Mm-hmm. Now, Corey, let me ask you this. The Mahindras, I know very little about them, so treat me like a first-time buyer. Do they come in various sizes for various workloads? Give us a little background on that.
Hey, happy to do that. A little bit about the company. It's an interesting company. It was a steel company in India, and in about 1947 started building the Willys Jeep, and they've gone on from manufacturing the Jeep to other automobiles, buses. I think they have an airplane. They make motorcycles. It's a big company, and they partnered up with International Tractor way back when to build international tractors for the Indian market.
Mm-hmm.
And then in about 1964, 1965, bought International out and put the Mahindra name on those tractors. So I guess there is some resemblance to the old International, but there's a good tried and true design, which a lot of guys prefer today. It's really simple, really rugged. The farming on the Indian continent is a little bit different. The Mahindra tractor comes with a 5-year warranty, which, that's a great thing. But these, you get a certain number of hours. They work the tractors so hard over there that they shut them off to change the oil.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first year, they've exceeded their hour limitation on the warranties.
Oh, my.
They really work their tractors. It's an interesting place.
Well, what's the sale point for here in America, here in southern Idaho, for the Mahindra tractors? I mean, what's the number one thing that you tell people that is a selling point as to why they should buy one?
Value, in a word, value. I believe that a person's going to get a little bit more than out of their dollar. We have a slogan, lift more, do more, where you're going to get a little more horsepower, you get a little bit more built-in weight with a Mahindra tractor, and you get more hydraulic power. So you add that all up, you can pull more, you can lift more, push more, and you get a reliable tractor that has a 5-year powertrain warranty. So it's pretty hard to beat.
Now tell us, over at your location, I-84 exit 211 at the Scows Truck Center, do you have quite a few on display that people can come by and familiarize themselves with the tractors, and you can give them all the selling points?
We do, and we have a good selection. And in fact, Mahindra is known for smaller tractors. That's what's popular on the Indian continent. And in the 40 horsepower class, we have 4 different models of 40 horsepower tractors to choose from. And so that's really an advantage.
Absolutely. Now, I want to give all 3 locations, but the Mahindras are primarily right there at the I-84 exit 211 location in Heyburn for the Scows Truck Center, right?
That's correct, and Eastern Idaho customers can visit us in our Idaho Falls location. Treasure Valley customers can see us at our Nampa store.
Okay.
And I think we have a pretty good selection here.
Well, now, tell me this, Corey. Sometimes I had a caller call me the other day and say, well, now I was looking for that Scows Truck Center, but I kept driving around and around and I didn't see it. What would you tell people is the easiest way to find your location so they can stop in and say howdy to you?
Well, that is a good question. At exit 211, that's kind of across from the Love's truck stop. That's a pretty good landmark. We border the freeway, and so with those landmarks in mind, a person would proceed to 27th Street, the stoplight, and let's say taking a right on 27th or 400 west or south, excuse me, and then taking another immediate right after crossing the tracks. That road empties out into our yard, and you're here.
All right. And all they have to do is ask for you for all the information they could ever want on Mahindra tractors, right?
Well, that's a tall order of business, but I think I'm fairly helpful, and we do have a place out back where a person can operate the tractors and dig in the dirt a little bit if they'd like to, and have a place where they can just kind of go off and be by themselves with the tractors. That's kind of an advantage as well.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, you did a really good job, and I appreciate it. Corey Smith over there at, of course, our friends at Scows CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts and the Big Truck Center at I-84 exit 211. Anything else about the Mahindras you want to mention this morning, Corey? Go ahead.
Well, I would just say if you don't have time to come in today, you can visit us at MahindraIdaho.com, and of course, there's a way to contact us there. You can see our tractors and more information on our MCRD engine technology.
Okay. Well, you come back again and visit with us real soon. And, Corey, you did a really good job. Go to the boss and tell him you deserve a raise. And thank you for being on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Next time.
Corey Smith talking about Mahindra tractors at Scows Big Truck Center, I-84 exit 211 in Heyburn. And I want to remind you, Scows CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts in Rupert, Heyburn, and Burley since 1949. Every detail matters, parts, sales, and service. And, of course, Scows has a CarQuest in Rupert at 323 East 8th Street, Highway 25 in Rupert. And, of course, CarQuest of Burley at 518 Overland in Burley, and the one we're talking about this morning, Scows Great Big Truck Center, I-84 exit 211, and the Mahindra tractors. Don't miss that. Scows CarQuest, and we thank them for having the answer man with us this morning, Corey Smith. Let me take a look and see what's coming up next hour. We have at 10:06 this morning, we're going to be visiting with Linda over at the Golden Heritage Senior Center. And don't forget, coming up, and you know, it's going so fast, it's 3 weeks away. The great big second annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner is going to be at the Golden Heritage Senior Center. And we're going to be talking to Linda about that in just a little bit. Then at 10:15 this morning, we have a segment called Minidoka Memorial Hospital, and we're going to be talking to a lovely lady. Ray Jensen is going to be on the phone with us this morning, and we're looking forward to that. And then at 10:30 this morning, don't forget, we're going to have Jeff Dickens, and he's with the Media Research Center back in Washington, D.C., and he's going to be telling us basically what happened in the Benghazi hearings, and did Hillary get a free pass, and basically the whole thing is just over and done. Let's take a look and see what old Jeff has to say to that at 10:30 this morning. You are listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything, and that means you should contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. All you have to do is call 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Another quick note I've got here before I leave the air for this hour. I want to remind you that, what did I do with it? The Veterans, Helping Veterans, 4th Annual Dinner and Raffle is going to take place at the River Christian Fellowship Church, 4002 North, 3300 East Falls Avenue in Twin Falls on Saturday, November 7th. Don't miss it, from 5 to 7, and then they're going to have a raffle and everything else. And this is really a great fundraiser to raise money to help veterans. So thank you very much. Going to take a break for a couple of minutes. CBS News is next. Oh, welcome back. Here we go. Wheels, can you turn that music up a little bit and my feed line to me just a hair, please. It's dropped down a little bit. Thank you. And Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. And, of course, also some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. Wonderful people. And we're going to have our next guest with us momentarily. But first and foremost, I want to tell you about what's going on over at the Chadwick Sports Grill. I love these sandwiches. 139 West Main in Burley, the Monte Cristo sandwich with veggies and a choice of side, super salad. It is fantastic. I love those Monte Cristos. You will too. Go on in today to the Chadwick Sports Grill. Great menu items, great choices, and of course specials every day, and nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. The food is tremendous. Want to also mention to you on Thursdays, we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And they've got all kinds of wonderful winter dresses that have arrived over there. And tomorrow, Tuesday, Grandparents' Day, and you can shop at A Child's World with a 10% discount on your purchases at 1308 Overland in Burley. A Child's World. Thank you very much. Along with Ambulatory Surgery Center, and they're located right there at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. And don't forget all your surgeries like life-saving colonoscopies and knee and hand and foot surgery. You call and they can save you money. 677-8888. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center on Highland, along with the Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Well, I thought we had Linda, but we've got a change on the order this morning. Debbie is on the air with us again from the Golden Heritage Senior Center at, of course, 2421 Overland Avenue in Burley. Good morning, Debbie. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful. You know, Debbie, let's talk not only about the 2nd Annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner that's coming up on November 19th, but I want you to start things off this morning by talking a little bit about the Meals on Wheels program and all the people that it benefits and how big a range it covers in this area.
Geographically, it's a 16-mile radius from the senior centers that, of people who qualify. And we serve about 45 to 50 or deliver that many meals every day. And it's, there's so much to say about it. I don't know how to prioritize, but it's just so helpful to these people who are basically shut in. They're either elderly or disabled, and that's, a good meal for them, at least one good meal a day. And the social contact that they get from the people who deliver, who can do, and I don't know if I'm saying this wrong when I say wellness check. It's nothing to do with medical, but it's just to make sure that they are all right, and if they're not, the delivery person can contact the center, and then we'll get people who need to go out and see them medically.
Okay.
That's, a concern.
All right. Now, let me ask you this question. How do people go about obtaining information about whether they can qualify and or get the Meals on Wheels? What do they do?
There's an the parent company, I guess, is Office on Aging, and they are at CSI in Twin Falls. And They're the ones that they go through.
I see.
They don't have anything to do with whether or not they qualify.
But once they qualify, then how do they let you know, or some representative of Golden Heritage, that yes, the meals can start to be delivered at their address?
They call, they fax the information, they email, they let us know right away.
Okay.
We'll start the day that they let us know.
All right.
And then sometimes, the people who we deliver to, their family might come from out of town. They might, take them and go visit somewhere. So they let us know that for a couple of days they don't need meals. But
okay.
Yeah, it's a very, it's a simple process for us. We are told and we go and do it. So.
Now, the money is the most important, because this isn't paid for by the government. It's not paid for by some rich benefactor. Where do you come up with the money to keep the Meals on Wheels going?
There is some government funding, but it's not nearly what the meal costs. So we depend a lot on donations, grants. Yes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we absolutely need all the help we can get as far as having enough money to be able to run the program.
Now, how much does it cost on a per meal basis? And you said you're delivering, let's just use round figures, about 50 meals a day, and you've got gasoline, you've got expenditures on the vehicle, etc. This has got to run into a lot of money on a per monthly basis.
That is a really good question, and you have asked that before at meetings that we've had with you, and I remember at the last meeting thinking, someone needs to figure this. Well, Linda is our site manager, and I think that she has done that, but I haven't been there. I've been away. I've been with grandchildren for a week, so I'm sure she has the number, but I don't.
Okay, well, we'll get that information on the next broadcast. But a lot of the money that is going to be derived for the Meals on Wheels comes from various projects like the Pilgrim Pride Dinner that's going to be on the 19th. And that is a major fundraiser for the Meals on Wheels, is it not?
It is, absolutely. It's probably our biggest fundraiser of the year.
Okay, and we're going to have that on the 19th of November, the second annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner at the Golden Heritage Senior Center, 2421 Overland in Burley, and it's going to start at 5 p.m. that afternoon, and it's $10 per ticket. Now, tell us a little bit about ticket information. I know that various businesses are buying tickets, etc. Will there be tickets available at the door?
There will, absolutely. We would love for people to just show up if you haven't received a ticket.
Okay.
And businesses have, in my experience, have been really good at supporting and buying tickets.
Okay.
Usually they buy them in blocks of 10, and then they either, I don't know what they do with them. When I sell them, I say, give them as gifts to your employees. Uh-huh. But we've done that ourselves. Just giving families a group of tickets, come and bring your children, and it's such a good meal.
Absolutely. Now,
very expensive.
We got a couple of minutes left here. Talk a little bit about the meal that night. It's going to be absolutely a plate full. Tell us what's going to be served.
I'm so sorry. Can you say that again?
I said, tell us what is going to be served that night as the meal. I know it's going to be a plate fill, and it's going to be delicious. Tell us what's going to serve.
It is. We're going to have turkey and ham, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, green bean casserole, homemade rolls, vegetables, corn, green beans, cranberry jello salad, and then probably forgetting stuff, squash,
okay.
And then pies and ice cream, whipped cream for dessert.
Oh my, it's going to be delicious. And there's going to be...
None of them can fit on a plate. I'm kind of worried about that.
Right.
I wonder if we should have 2 plates.
There you go. And then also door prizes, and I want to amplify to everybody that they don't have to be present to win. We'll get a hold of them, right, Debbie?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And those door prizes are going to be nice.
Oh, I guarantee you. Hey, second annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner, Golden Heritage Senior Center, November 19th at 5 p.m. right there at 2421 Overland in Burley. Debbie, take care. God bless, and we'll see you in probably about an hour right over there at the Senior Center, okay?
That's right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you much. That is going to be a big event. And listen, folks, 5 to 7:30, that gives you plenty of time to be there. And you're really helping the Meals on Wheels, where the bulk of this money is going to go to, as far as making sure our seniors get those meals, those shut-ins, receive those meals. Very, very important. So please, I urge you to be a part of the second annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner at the Golden Heritage Senior Center on November the 19th. Right now, I got to take a look at my book here. I think I'm all caught up with everything I need to take care of for this half hour, and I'll go right smack dab over to our next guest. And we're very, very honored to have with us on the program this morning, representing our friends at Minidoka Memorial Hospital, we have the lovely Ray Jensen. Ray, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, and there's a lot of things going on over at the Minidoka Memorial Hospital, and we're blessed and honored to have you folks on the air. And the purpose of Minidoka Memorial Hospital is to provide and promote high-quality, compassionate primary health care services and health education to the residents and visitors of Mini-Cassia region. Ray, now I want you to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I understand that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that's why we see a lot, like in the NFL with the National Football League, the players wearing pink and absolutely drawing a correlation of breast cancer awareness, a dreaded cancer that they'd like to see obliterated. Give us some more information on that, if you would, please.
Well, you're absolutely right. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and not only do you see the NFL wearing pink, you actually see even our junior highs and our high schools around here get into that. They wear the pink socks and everything to represent it, at least for one game during October, which is really fun to see. But yeah, it's a big deal, and Idaho happens to be one of the worst states for getting screening mammograms done, for women getting that done. So we really want to push that. We want women to be aware that the earlier you can detect breast cancer, the better it is, the better the chance of curing it, of getting rid of it.
Okay, now let me ask you this, Ray, and I personally was listening to the television last week, and I was shocked at a newscast that minimized the awareness and minimized the advantages of going to get a mammogram for ladies. And why are they doing this? Why are they changing the rules? Why are they changing some of the verbiage regarding mammograms?
You know, that's a really good question. It's funny that you should bring that up, because I did read an article on that last week, how the American Cancer Society is kind of changing their opinion. The College of Radiology has not said anything, to my knowledge, about changing anything. Women should be getting their initial screening mammogram at 40 years old, typically, and they should be getting a mammogram every year. Especially with the digital mammos nowadays, the radiation dose is so low that the risk is so minimal. And we can pick up things on mammos that women would never feel. So I don't understand why they're changing that, but on our end, we are still recommending that women have a mammogram every year after the age of 40.
Okay. Let me be very blunt, Ray, if I can, and you can correct me again if I'm wrong, but could it have something to do with trying to lower the costs and lower the expenditures with Obamacare? And I think people's health is at stake here, and instead of minimizing it, I think they should be maximizing the need for women to take care of this. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I really don't. I don't know. I wish I was more informed about the Obamacare and everything, but those kinds of screening processes now should be covered by the insurance because of that. So I don't know if they're changing their opinion on that, but I totally agree that they should be pushing women to get checked every year. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer. That's a huge number. So if it's not your wife or if it's not you, it's probably going to be your sister or your aunt or your mother or somebody. 1 in 8, that's a huge number. That's a huge number.
And explain to my audience, I mean, by just absolutely doing the due diligence of having these mammograms and going to your doctor and discussing about an annual mammogram, boy, the absolute stoppage of this disease of cancer hitting you, it's well worth the effort.
Well, it is worth the effort. And the big deal about having your mammogram yearly is that every year they will compare the year before to what you had done this year. So the slightest change they will catch. The tiniest difference from year to year they're going to pick up on. And so that's a huge deal, and that's why we can catch it so early. And with the machines and everything that we use now, they're so sensitive and they're so great. Now, having said that, I do want to say that there is a small percentage of breast cancers that do not show up on mammograms, but that is a rare case. Typically, they do show up. But I thought I better throw that in.
Let me ask you another question, and believe me, I'm very naive about some of this, and so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip on this, but why today is breast cancer more prevalent as compared to 40 or 60 years ago?
I don't know that it is. I really don't. I wonder if it's just that we're catching more because the screenings are so much better and more sensitive. So I don't know if we're seeing more really or if we're just catching it more. I really don't.
Now, what if, and I pray that this doesn't happen, but in reality it does way too often, what happens when a mammogram shows an abnormality? What steps are taken after that?
Well, I can tell you what happens here. Typically what happens when a woman comes in for a screening mammogram and we see something that looks suspicious or see something that has changed from her previous mammograms, we'll call them back in for usually some additional films or possibly an ultrasound, depending on how things look. So the woman will come back in, we will get those additional views. A lot of times if we do, it's called a spot compression, and sometimes it's just overlapping tissues, and by using a different way to image the breast, we can sometimes spread that out and make it go away. But if it doesn't go away, and it's still there and it's persistent and it looks suspicious, then a lot of times we are even that day able to offer the woman a core biopsy where we can go in under usually ultrasound guidance and get a sample of the tissue from the suspicious area and send it in to be tested. And then once the pathology report comes back, then they know what they're dealing with. Either it was something benign, which we love, and then we don't need to worry about it, or if it turns out to be cancer, then they're referred to an oncologist and they go from there.
You know,
That's typically what happens.
I would imagine, Ray, that from the point of having that telephone call or that message from the hospital to come back, I would imagine the mental awareness and the worry has to take over. And, boy, there's a lot of things that the hospital and your staff and yourself have to do to try to make everybody remain calm until the final results are in.
You know, it is. It's awful. I hate that. And my sister has been called back in for additional images, which it ended up being just fine, which I was so glad about. But it is. It makes women worry. It gets them keyed up, especially where breast cancer is a prevalent cancer. It is. We see it a lot. And so we try to be as kind as we can and try to make them feel as comfortable as they can. We only do those follow-up exams on a day when we have a doctor here that can talk to them, explain what the options are, tell them what he's thinking. So that helps too, so they can have an answer, hopefully that day, about what the doctor is thinking as far as what they should do from there, so they don't have to wait longer. But it's sensitive, and I can't even tell you how many women have even had me in tears because it turned out fine, and they're so relieved, and they start crying, and then it's horrible.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
What about the funding for all of this? I mean, I hate to go back to the government again, but I'm one of those nitpickers that absolutely will waste money with hamsters on treadmills, but yet we won't spend money to help incur better health for all of our citizenry. And what about funding? Is it hard to get the money?
Well, it can be. There's programs out there, though. We typically have a grant here for women between the ages of 35 and 50 that we can offer them a screening mammogram if they don't have insurance. There's also the Women's Health Check. Lots of doctors around this area are part of that, and that program funds mammograms as well as other things. So there are things out there, but I agree with you. I do. I think that the government wastes a lot of money on things that we could probably do without when it could be better spent in other places.
What about a number or a person, i.e. you or whomever, that if somebody's listening to this program this morning and they go, you know what, I really need to go get checked, but I've got questions. Do you have a kind of a hotline number they can call?
Well, they can call directly here to our radiology department. Any of us would be happy to talk to them and answer any questions that they have. And if we don't have the answers, we would certainly give them a number of somebody that we hope would have the answer. And our line here is 436-8143, and that's the direct line right into the radiology department.
Is there anything else about breast cancer and Breast Cancer Awareness Month that right now, we're towards the tail end of October, that you'd like my audience to be aware of?
Well, we are offering a discounted mammograms during the month of October for people that maybe don't have insurance or don't have the money to come in and do it regularly, because we think it's really important. So we try to offer that discount through October for the population that needs some help in that way, because we think it's important.
Absolutely. Ray, I got to tell you, you are exceptionally good at talking on the radio about this topic. And give us a little background. If they have more questions, all they have to do is get a hold of the Minidoka Memorial Hospital at 1224 8th Street in Rupert. And the general number, I assume, is 436-0481. Is that correct?
That's the general number, and then the number into our department again is 436-8143.
Ray, you got to come back. You got to promise me.
I would love to. You're delightful.
Oh, thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this last segment, thank you, Ray. God bless you. Minidoka Memorial Hospital, where your health is so important. Work with the best that really care at Minidoka Memorial Hospital. And a lovely lady, and I say thank you again to Ray Jensen. That was very informative, and I appreciate her being on the program. Thank you very much.
For your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Once again, I want to remind everybody that the second annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner, Golden Heritage Senior Center, coming up on the 19th at 5 p.m., and it's $10 per ticket, and the proceeds, of course, going to the Meals on Wheels program. Don't forget that. And don't forget, too, the Denny's Grand Slam Breakfast for the high school football game of the week. This week, the game that we had on Friday between Burley and, of course, Canyon Ridge, Larry Hudig was the winner of the Denny's Grand Slam Breakfast. So congratulations to Larry, and we're going to be throwing out our next game for you to think about, ponder, and if you pick the winning team and are closest to the final score, and by the way, Larry was spot on, 21-14, you might be the winner of the Denny's Grand Slam Breakfast. So don't forget that right here, Denny's at 611 Overland in Burley. We're going to send it back over to our main studios and be back in about 3 minutes. Don't you go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them today at 6 877-804-59. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Really good, folks. Oh, my, let's go to the phone line right now. And with us from the Media Research Center is the Deputy Research Director, and he's going to tell us everything that happened with the Benghazi Committee hearing. Good morning, Jeff Dickens. How are you?
Thanks for having me on.
Jeff, okay, what did you think overall? I mean, we had Hillary sit in front of the rest of the people like Gowdy and the rest of the questionnaires, and what happened? What did you think about what Hillary had to say, and what do you think the outcome's going to be?
Well, yeah, I think she was taught in lies, but what we focus here at the MRC is the coverage of it, and we predicted that the media would hand her a lifeline. If you look at how they were sort of like spitting things, getting sort of laying the groundwork for Hillary before the hearings, and sure enough, at the they were saying like talking about the McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy gaffe, saying like is that a lifeline for her? And you had someone like Carl Bernstein saying she was going to murder the committee, quote unquote murder the committee, and sure enough, after the hearing was over, the coverage was all about as Hillary Clinton put the controversy behind her. That was NBC Today's show. Savannah Guthrie, one of the co-anchors. Andrea Mitchell dismissed it as plenty of political theater and was praised for keeping her cool. The little media could not wait to try and put this scandal and controversy away for Hillary so they can go ahead and just support her full on, turbocharge Hillary all the way for 2016. Because now that Joe Biden has not entered the race, they kind of left the door open for him to get in. Now that he's closed that door, you can tell that they're getting up to support Hillary all the way now.
All right, Jeff, you follow this every day, and you know the answers to these questions better than most anybody else in the media. Why? Why are they such a life preserver for Hillary and, for that matter, Bill Clinton? Why are they so protecting of these people? Whether it goes back to the blue dress and the word, the matter of is, or the meaning, why are they so protective, and why have they laid a blanket over these people that nobody can touch them?
Well, you have to remember that many of these, I get this question asked a lot. Why is the media so liberal? Why does the media support liberal Democrats? And, why do they cover up for the Clintons, which they've been doing now for, since, 91. And it's just because many of them are, in fact, Democrats. So, they used to work in Democratic congressional offices, or used to work in Democratic White Houses or Democratic campaigns, and they go into the media and they go right back out into the radio, TV world, newspaper world, print world, online world. We call it the revolving door. So yeah, you can see what the Clintons have done since you go back to '91 and the bimbo eruptions, Whitewater, Travelgate, up through the Clinton Foundation scandals and this latest email Benghazi scandal. And what the Clintons do with James Carville and his help, he was around last week too, they brought him back, is they stonewall on the scandals, stonewall. And the media will initially cover these scandals, but the Clintons will stonewall to the point where it's 2 months, 3 months later, and they go, oh, well, that's all news, no one cares about that anyway. And the media lets them get away with it. And I think it was interesting, back in 2008, you did have some members of the media that liked Obama. So they kind of left the Clinton camp for a while, because they saw this new shiny, toy sort of candidate with this is the guy that can win. But now that there isn't any competition for Hillary right now, they're just going to go ahead and support the Clintons.
You mentioned that you said many of the media are Democrats. Well, wait a minute, though, Jeff. What about those that are conservative? What about those, heaven forbid, that might be Republican? What about those that are independent, possibly with a mind of their own? What about them? Why aren't they having any backbone or any personality to stand up and say something?
Well, certainly you have Fox News is covering these scandals, and not letting Hillary off the hook. And, of course, you have conservative talk radio and shows like yourself that are not letting Hillary off the hook. But, in terms of inside the Beltway journalists or New York City journalists, there's very few of them, I would think, left, at least that are at prominent organizations, quote-unquote, mainstream media, which is losing its influence, certainly print is, the liberal hags, if you will. But they're mostly populated with liberals, and so that's what's going on. And independent conservatives are in the journalism field, at least at the quote-unquote mainstream places, are few and far between.
It just absolutely sickens me to think that the media has turned into this liberal bastion of thought that anybody that has conservative values or anybody that is a person that believes in moral values or our Constitution, we're a threat to them and we're a threat to their new progressive America. How are we going to stop this movement for those of us in the media? I'm doing all I can to bring out the facts of stories, but it seems like there's always a sugarcoating from the liberal biased media. What do I do?
Well, you keep doing what you're doing. You keep. I think social media is important. Before the internet, talk radio was sort of like the voice of the underground. It was a way to sort of get the truth out, even with the mainstream media covering up what's actually going on. But yeah, it's just stay aggressive. Tell your listeners, check newsbusters.org and other conservative outlets to find out how the media is distorting the truth or not revealing the truth. And you're right, because as we've seen at the MRC since 1987, they're gotten to the point where they're dropping all pretenses of objectivity. They're just becoming, certainly the big three networks that still have the highest ratings. They've become basically a wing of the DNC.
Okay, but Jeff, in your opinion, again, because of the stature of your job, what about the American public? Have they lost any caring for the truth? Have they lost any caring for really in-depth reporting instead of just this sleaze that's fed to them?
Well, I think many of them unfortunately have, but it's a challenge. It is a challenge. It's because when the network news aren't, or MSNBC aren't pushing, liberal Democratic candidates, they're pushing this fluff. The latest Kardashian story. So it is. It's hard to sort of break through and try to. It has to be done. With alternative outlets, and thankfully for the internet, we do have that with blogs and online sources. But it has to be a runaround. It has to be a runaround the liberal media because they won't. They practically don't allow conservatives on the air anymore.
When you talk to some of these people, whether it's Brian Williams or whether it's Diane Sawyer or whether it's anybody from that nutty NBC Today show or whatever, and they're fawning all over these people like Hillary Clinton. What's their reasoning? Why? Why can't they just report the news instead of letting their emotions lean over to one side, the left side? What do they hope to gain by reporting in that kind of a fashion?
Well, they don't care anymore. About the pretense of objectivity, because this is who they are. They're liberals, they're Democrats, and you would think this is why that they. Even if you look at the business model, Fox News has of the cable outlets has the highest ratings. So you would think that an MSNBC or CNN will look at the success of Fox News and go, maybe we should try to have a few more opinion people or a few more stories that reveal the perspective of right-leaning Americans. But they don't. That's how, at their own expense, they're so committed to advancing the liberal agenda that they're not even willing to follow a smart business model that would lead them to have better ratings, and more viewers. It's because they're committed to the agenda.
So, Jeff, basically, 4 people died at the Benghazi attacks, and all the heinous crimes and all the attitudes and all the destruction and the mayhem and the reasons as to why it happened or possible reasons as to how it could have been prevented, all of that is just swept under the carpet right now in honor of Hillary trying to attain the presidency. This makes me sick.
It does make you. It makes me sick. It should make you sick. It should make all your listeners sick. I mean, you had Pat Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, who's been outspoken. You've had, the parents of these Benghazi victims, showing up on Fox News and other outlets, demanding that these hearings happen, and they don't get interviewed on the Today Show. They don't get interviewed on GMA. Whereas you recall, remember seeing Cindy Sheehan back in 2005 or when it was all over the place when she was attacking Bush and the war. Like, where are these victims of the Obama administration, if you will, being interviewed? They're not being interviewed because, again, it's not part of the liberal narrative, and it's not part of the narrative that will help Hillary get elected.
So basically, this issue of Benghazi and other issues with possibly the email and the servers, if the Democrats and the progressives long enough can string this out in the media, sooner or later it's going to be scoffed at, it's going to be laughed at, and those of us that want the truth, we're going to be called the hate mongers and the bigots, and that is exactly their mantra. That's what they try to do on every one of these stories.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They follow the similar playbook, and but hope is not lost. There's shows like your show, and there's websites like newsbusters.org. There's ways to combat it, and look, at some point, the Republicans are going to pick a nominee. If that nominee is smart, they will go after the liberal media for not telling the truth. And that's what the MRC is here to do, is to push and pressure the news media to tell the truth and expose them when they're not telling the whole story. And they haven't told the whole story on this Benghazi scandal.
Let me ask you one final thought here, Jeff. Let's just assume for a moment that Donald Trump is going to win the nomination. And let's just assume for a moment that that's going to lead to a series of debates with the nominee of the Democrats, which looks like Hillary Clinton. If he, Donald Trump, brings this up about Benghazi or the servers or the emails or all the other illicit things the Clintons have been famous for, is that going to be portrayed as partisan witch hunts by the Republicans and absolutely be a devastating negative against Trump?
Well, yes. I mean, in a word, yes. I mean, we saw, even before the hearing started, they were trying to paint these hearings as partisan and just nothing but an attack on Hillary and the Obama administration. Never mind that this is about getting the facts, finding the facts, and getting the truth out about what happened. So because the media, they have their script pre-written for them. By Democrats, by liberals, by progressives, and they stick to it. It's very hard to shake them off that script.
Oh, my. Well, I tell you what. Okay, bottom line, can this somehow be changed, or is the dumbing down of America through the media going to continue?
It can change, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's because I think when most viewers of, particularly these television shows, the network news shows, I think are passive and just kind of if they're not watching every night, and if they're not, things can get, or they're not paying attention to sort of alternate sources, issues can get lost. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's one of the things the liberal media does is they'll actually just not cover an issue. So it's very challenging, but with people like here at Newsbusters and people like yourself, it can be overcome.
All right. The Deputy Research Director for the Media Research Center, and he's a good guy, Jeff Dickens. God bless you, Jeff. Thanks, and come back in the future if you would, please.
I will. Thanks for having me on again, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. I'll tell you what, folks, when you think about what Jeff just said, with Brian Williams fawning all over Hillary Clinton and said that Hillary Clinton leaves her post as the most admired woman in the world, balderdash, and Diane Sawyer, and all those with the NBC Today Show and many others, just absolutely, like I used the word, fawning over her, and just absolutely laying rose petals for her to walk on. It's absolutely sickening. They can do no wrong, and when they do wrong, and they've done it many times, it's obscured and deleted by the media. The media in this country should be honest and forthright and call it as it is. If it's a strike, it's a strike. If it's a ball, it's a ball. They shouldn't get in there like Brian Williams. I mean, that's enough to make anybody sick, what he said. And the others. It just makes no sense to me why we, the American public, have let the media in general take over the thought process of our thinking and basically just feed us the information in a very jilted way, and they are helping to dumb down this country of America. It's absolutely pathetic. Get off my soapbox. Time for the weather, and then I'll take some more calls. Give me a jingle on the landline. The weather brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Your hometown meat cutter, locally owned custom meat processor, and don't forget, also processing big game at Scarro's, and they can make that wild game bacon. It is delicious. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarro's Meats. Here now is the weather.
It's going to be another beautiful day as we head on into the work week. Sunny skies, high of 60. Expect an overnight low of 35 for tomorrow. Sunny and 56 with an overnight low of 31. Mostly cloudy and 60 for Wednesday, and we do have a 60% chance of rain showers for Thursday. Wind's going to be picking up as well. High of 51 with an overnight low of 34. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you, Gina. Good job. And brought to you this hour by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And I said it a moment ago, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Good. Now, what do you think about the media? I mean, I don't care if you watch CBS or listen to CBS or ABC, NBC. It doesn't make any difference. Or realizing what their broadcasters are doing is giving you a slanted, jaded view of the news to the left. And denigrating those on the right or the conservative viewpoint. That's not the America I grew up in. That's not the America I want now. They can absolutely take and mold together with their vein of thought and verbiage on television and radio and the newspapers exactly how you're going to vote, and they're going to just absolutely have it flowing their way on a permanent basis. Look at the schools. Look at the kids. Look at those that are on government welfare. Look at those that are on the government dole. They're going to bend and vote the way that the big boys in the media and, of course, the government asked them to. We've lost our train of thought. We have lost our individualism in this country, and we've lost the perspective of basically our rights, our freedoms, and our Constitution. It's sickening to me. Your thoughts. I honestly had high hopes that the Benghazi Committee would uncover information that was going to lay to rest a lot of the concerns as to why it happened, lay to rest a lot of the concerns as to why those men lost their lives, and lay to rest why there wasn't help called or why there wasn't help available. There seems to be so many unanswered questions. But the media bit on the hook and the worm and swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker, when Hillary said, "What difference does it make?" Is that what we've come to in this country? where Americans die, and we don't know the reasons. We don't know why it wasn't prevented. And then someone like her, a very evil person like Hillary Clinton, can come out and say, what difference does it make? Does that not bother you? It infuriates me. Call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and service is the key word. My goodness sakes, the best of brake service, the best of front-end alignment service, the best of battery service, shocks and struts, the best, excuse me for choking to death, the best of tires for your different driving needs. All your vehicles, they've got all the different tread, all the different tires, and believe me, all you have to do is stop in, and they will share that information with you. Wonderful people at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and believe me, they have the answers. So you stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Come on, give me a jingle on the telephone. I've still got time. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to have Frosty Woldridge at 9:06, and I'm going to be going over this notice that I had, the 7-page notice about the refugee pushback growing in multiple states all across America. Frosty has written about this, and we're going to kind of compare notes on that tomorrow morning at 9:06. Then, first of all, the 8:06 hour is an open forum. I invite you to call in with your thoughts on various questions. Then Frosty at 9:06. Then at 9:30, we're going to have Kyle Drennan on the air, and he's going to be talking about the GOP debate on Wednesday and what's going to happen there and what he thinks is going to happen as far as those people that are maybe still in the race somewhat, but those will be dropping out in the next couple of days. Then, of course, at 10:06 tomorrow morning, one of my very, very favorite segments, and I'm blessed to have him, Dr. History. And then at 10:30, we're going to be, Andy Bostic is going to be on the program, and we're going to be talking about the status of Israel and the Jews in America. So don't miss that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Jeff. I just moved up to in the Seattle area, and I'm back down here for harvest. But, what you guys, what we're talking about, has been dodging this whole thing. I find up there that people just really don't care much. And I don't think what I see that they'll care much until it hits them in the pocketbook.
Yeah, well, wait, stop for a second. Why don't they care? What happened to the America that worried about their fellow man? What happened to the America that worried about right and wrong? What happened to the America that worried about our Constitution? You mean to tell me all that's been thrown out the window?
I'm sad to say, but I think what I hear up there is, yeah, pretty much.
Why? What are they replacing it with up there on the left coast? What kind of possible garbage are they trying to say instead of the values of our Constitution?
Well, it's, I think they would vote for Sanders. I mean, I think it's socialism. I think they've chosen that and decided that they didn't like the way America was, so they're more than willing to throw it out and change it.
So in other words, what you're saying is, for the last 200 plus years, everything that made America great, these left loons would throw out the window to go along with other countries and socialistic values, and we'll all be standing there saluting comrades. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
You know what? I really appreciate your call, and I appreciate your verbiage, because people need to hear it from the grassroots, and thank you very much for your call.
Okay.
God bless you. And you know what? I think he's got a very good point. People have lost the caring. People have lost the value of this great country of America, and it's a shame. You're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call 312-0957 today. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06 right here on KBAR 1230 and streaming live all over the world, ZebBell.com. The way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Wheels, take it away.